Hello, just realised there's still Christmas decorations up there, so I'll have to get around to taking them down at some point. But I think it's generally like a week into January, isn't it? People take those down. But hello, I'll be on for an hour. Hopefully a notification gets sent out. So the name of this stream is these. Some old British dosimeters I bought. I got a pack of 3 for like a £5 or something. They were really cheap. And they actually look quite good. The problem is they are slightly too fat to zero on the DKP 50 dosimeter charger that I've got in the DP75. So as good as these look, because they go from 0 to 200 centigrade, there is 100 centigrade in a grey. A grey is the same thing as a sievert. So these basically go up to 2 sieverts, because 200 centigrades is 2 greys or 2 sieverts. And that is pretty nasty levels of radiation. In Rontgens, there is 114 Rontgens in 1 sievert. So this would be 228 Rontgens this goes up to. So at the level where you'd definitely be suffering from radiation sickness. Whether or not you'd get killed by that, I don't know. 500 Rontgens generally the level where people start dying. But I'm going to hold this up and see if you can see it through the webcam, but you probably won't be able to, like with the DKP50. Oh, you can actually. But bear in mind, I can't zero these yet, because to zero it, I need to get a charger it fits in. So I've ordered one, but there you go. So as you can see, it goes from 0 to 200 centigrade. So yeah, looks like a pretty good dosimeter. But annoyingly, as I said, I've got 3 of these. One's completely discharged. This one is currently at 50 centigrade. What I'm just going to do with these actually is rotate them like I've done with the DKP50. So the thing is directly above the line. So that's at 50. This one is at, was it 20 odd? Yeah, like pretty much exactly 20. The other one's completely discharged. But yeah, so they're pretty interesting. What I can do, of course, is, considering that they're dosimeters, I can stick them on me here and find out if I've been horribly irradiated during the stream, which is probably going to be unlikely. But anyway, I'll go to the chat now and see what you're talking about. But yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a good price, Fico. Do you know what level Kevlar is it? Is it like 3A? Is it Kevlar 2? Kevlar 1? But regardless, $40 for any sort of Kevlar isn't bad, especially if you know, it's like the vest with the Kevlar in it, not just a Kevlar sheet. No, I've not got a Christmas gas mask, I'm afraid. I mean, those have got decorations on them, but they're not really Christmas masks. Level 3. Do you mean 3A, Fico? Because you generally can't get level 3 Kevlar. But 3A Kevlar is still very good for that sort of price. Yeah, I like the FM12. So, speaking of radiation, something absolutely beautiful I've got recently. I will show it. Most of the beta radiation is being blocked coming off of it at the moment. This is Autunite, if I'm pronouncing that right. I will not touch it with my hands, because then I would have to wash them to get the deadly powder off. But obviously it looks just like a little green kind of rock. But let's put this on UV mode. There we go. And look at that fluorescence of the UV. To my eye, that is a lovely green colour. On the webcam, it's kind of a bit too bright to see the colour properly. But yeah, that's just a lovely shade of green that glows. If I put that next to here, let's just stick him on the thing a moment. I don't really want to touch it. But this will actually block a load of the beta coming through, but you should get some idea of the activity on it. 2.7, 5.4, it'll keep going up. So, what are you saying about the GP5? It's not meant to smell that much, but personally I don't really notice the rubber sort of smell on a lot of masks. Donate, Boyko. I already replied to your comment. I can't because I don't have the drinking tube system for that mask. At least 15 microsieverts so far. And bear in mind that some of the beta is being blocked by the plastic. 16. But yeah, this is relatively hot for what it is. There's a German, there's a German sword called the Grossmesser, which literally means big knife. UK law on swords is as long as they're not really cheap, kind of crappy reproductions, you're allowed them, just don't wave them around in a public place. So in your house, in a private collection, absolutely fine. Don't take them out into the road and wave them at people. What's it at now? 15. So through the plastic, it's pretty much finishing at 15 microsieverts. So 15 microsieverts, 1 microsievert would be like 5 times your average background radiation. So 5 times 15. I'm shit at maths. What's that, 75? So 75 times background radiation, pretty much, coming off of this. Cheers, Boyko. French M51's 40mm NATO, actually. I don't know, it might technically be 40mm DIN, but that fits NATO filters fine. If anybody's interested in what this sort of reads, I'm trying to think if I've got an easy counter where I can take a beta reading directly. Do I have any handy for that? The CDV can do that. So I'm going to actually want it on times 100. Now, you're probably not going to see the thing very conveniently from there, are you? But you might hear it at least. $10 millirontgen. Yeah, where I've got it at that angle, it's about 10 millirontgen per hour. I'm just going to tap it with my finger. There we go. It's not going to harm my finger or anything, just for people wondering if I touch it. It's just basically the issue with something like Autonite is if you touch it without gloves on, you get the stuff on your fingers, you eat or something off the fingers, you get radioactive dust inside your body, it kills you. All right, Peach, you missed the Autonite, I'm afraid. But yeah, the Autonite's really beautiful. I've actually got another Autonite specimen, and I'll show you. But this one's inside another bit of rock. So the other bit of rock it's in is all right to touch. If I get the UV light again, actually, let me get my other UV torch. It's not as bright, but at least the other UV torch just literally has a UV function or off, so it's not going to yeah. So if that's visible there, see the bit that goes green on it there? That's where the Autonite is. It never looks very good on the webcam, even though it looks good in person, but and on my phone camera. But yeah, there's a lovely bit of fluorescing that goes on that bit there. On the other side, there's a little bit that glows, but not very much. But yeah, it's mostly this side where there's a bit that really fluoresces. You can just about see it there, but the problem is the UV on these generally is so bright that it, on the webcam, but yeah, it's right there where I'm shining the light. This one isn't, if he wears a GP5 of the filter, he could potentially damage his lungs. But this one apparently is Furcolite and Autonite from Merivale Quarry in Dartmoor, Devon. I've been to Dartmoor. Why would a scorpion be radioactive, Peach? Oh, because scorpions glow under UV. It's a different colour of glowing, isn't it? But no, I think it's just scorpions have the weird carapace, don't they, that glows. But yeah, I can never remember the reason why scorpions glow under UV. It's pretty interesting. But right, I'll just put that back on the side. There we go. But yeah, so yeah, that piece of automite's lovely, but yeah, I've got a proper display case coming for those, so when I get them, I can put them all in there, and we'll stop them, you know, being dangerous to people who just go like that and look into it and get beta in the eye. Oh, we're still at 20 centigrade. Well, I reckon that's gone up ever so slightly since I last looked, but as these batteries discharge, they go up anyway. I mean, what I could do with this, of course, if I wanted to, is put it on some of the samples and see if the number goes up. It would, but hopefully I'll get the charger for this come soon. What's the best gas mask? That's completely opinionated. Probably like most people would say the Avon FM53 now, or like one of the modern Airboss masks. My favourite's the CT12, but that doesn't mean it's the best mask. But yeah, this looks like it would be a good dosimeter when it's actually, you know, I have the charger for it, so I can recharge these. Let me just see if I can get a relatively dim light to put under these. The problem is I don't want something too bright that then, you know, like whites out the camera, essentially. Let me try a little IR light under it, because I don't know if I use an IR light, if that will shine through onto the webcam. Ah, yeah, that works very well. I can use that to demonstrate any dosimeters now. Right, it's upside down. Hang on. But yeah, because the camera can actually see infrared light, unlike the human eye, you can see through that. So if I get that lined up. So yeah, centigrades, as you can see at the moment, if I can get that lined up, because the problem is it keeps pushing the webcam. It's about 21 centigrade, probably. There we go. Yeah, I hope everybody in Australia that watches me is safe at the moment, because I know you're having a load of wildfires, aren't you, in Australia, that are pretty hairy. I think it's about 21 looking at it, but yeah. So if you don't know what dosimeter pens are, it's pretty similar to the things like the DKP50s, which are like the common Warsaw packed ones. A lot of nations did dosimeter pens. In the US, there's loads of CDV era ones. But see, this one, if I put the light on this one, this is like the Warsaw packed one. So this one goes from 0 to 50 Rontgen. If I can get that lined back up. There we go. Sort of, maybe. So as you see, this one at the moment is about 2 Rontgen. Right, these I haven't charged yet, Hype. When I got them, they were free. One was at about 20 Rontgen. One was about 50 Rontgen, and the other was totally discharged. So if I just shine the IR light through them so you can see them again. I think this is the one that was at 20. Yeah, there we go. If that doesn't white out. There we go. So yeah, it goes from 0 to 200 centigrade. So about 0 to 200 centisieverts, I guess that would be. Or essentially 20, no, 2 sieverts, wouldn't it? So 2 sieverts, 2 grays, 200 centigrade. So yeah, it goes for the people who want it at a Rontgen number. 114 Rontgen in the grey, So if this goes up to 2 sieverts, or 2 greys, 114 times 2, 228. So it goes about to 228 Rontgen. These. So yeah, when the charger comes, I'll charge them. I know people were saying that the British charger also charges DKP 50s, which is pretty handy. The issue is that I don't know how obvious this will be on the camera. If I just do this, I'll take the end off because I don't need that on there. You probably can see from this that the British dosimeter pens are a little bit fatter than the DKP 50. Only slightly, but ever so slightly fatter. And because we're going to be fat shaming them, lol, it means you can't actually charge them in the the lead chip on the IR torch. This isn't one of the ones you sent me. This is the one I had before. It's got 3 little IR bulbs on this one. Obviously, that looks red to my eye. You can't see the IR light. But yeah, and it's one that has a slight zoom on it, so you can do that or that. But yeah, so when I can obviously charge it, I'll charge these. It looks pretty similar at the bottom to the DKP style dosimeter pens. Slightly different design, but it's still got kind of like the needly bit in the middle. Yeah, that one isn't bad. It's just obviously you don't see the IR very well on the webcam. Take the cheek filters out, person with a Russian name. Well, I assume that's a Russian name. And then basically just put them in a sink with soapy water. But yeah. So and I'll put this rubber thing back on this end. So that was the end, wasn't it? That's solid. So you put that through like that. Stops you accidentally discharging it. There's also, if you really wanted to use it, these have eye cups on them as well that just sit on there like that. So you can still look down it like that, but there's no real point having that eye cup on there. But it means you can have a thing on there at either end. All right, see your compot if you're off. All right, Richard? But yeah, so when that dosimeter arrives, hype you're sending, I'll send you the PayPal thing for that. And also, if you didn't see on Discord, I've ended up getting a thing I was going to wait another payday till getting, but they were on sale at the moment. The Therapy, but it's the Therapy Plus, and they're like very good Ukrainian dosimeters, like shielded ones actually, because there's videos where people take them into the like Pripyat hospital basement and they're getting like 800 millisievert kind of readings on them. So they actually read to high radiation levels, you know, without fucking up. Whereas, like, again, the problem with things like the SOEX and this one, as much as I actually like this one, is you put something next to them that's quite hot and they just start, you know, giving really inaccurate readings. These would be good for most people. It's just for me, it's getting to the stage now where if I want an accurate digital reading, nothing like this qualifies anymore. But yeah, I was going to wait till after my next payday to get the Therapy. And on UK Amazon, eBay, most of them were like £300 to £400. And then on the website of the company that does them, the Therapy Plus, which is a slightly better model at the moment, is like €200. So I was like, fuck it, I'm getting that. Just because I didn't want to wait till payday and then find that, you know, it had gone up to like €400, €500. Yeah, the Therapy isn't perfect, but it's generally, for the price they're at the moment, very good, as in, you know, you can read crazy levels of radiation. Also, the batteries in them, like 2 regular AAA batteries, I think it lasts like 3/4 of a year or something. The batteries in there, and that's continuously like running 24/7. You can't turn it off when the batteries are in there. It will just constantly keep running and measuring radiation levels and obviously working as a dosimeter. What language? What? Who are you talking to, Tactical MyZ? No, I'm not in the army. But anyway, yeah, as in washing cheek filter masks, just take the cheek filters out, put them in the sink with soapy water, gently sort of clean them with a cloth, let them dry. If there's any metal bits, dry them faster rather than later, you know, so they don't rust any bit. Right, there was a thing, if you didn't see, that says this stream is not made for children, because on YouTube now you either have to make children-friendly content or non-children-friendly content. My content isn't children-friendly, so if you don't like the language, leave. You know, it's not made for people under 18, this content, because YouTube says I have to choose either or now, so I might as well go full adult, so I can't be... Yes, I have a name. It's Liam. Anyway, if you didn't see it earlier, I'll show you again, Hype, because I think you're off. And Richard probably hasn't seen it. The lovely, lovely bit of automite. But sadly, it's going to probably glow too bright under the UV to the point where you can't notice it's glowing. But tell you what, I can get it to glow while it's still in there. So let me just do that. Where was my less glowy UV pen? This one, right? There you go. I don't know how obvious that is on the thing, because the issue with these is they always tend to glow too brightly on the stream, but that really does fluoresce. All right, thank you, Firestarter. I appreciate that. Glad you like the videos. But yeah, annoyingly the glow doesn't really show up too well on webcam. It just kind of washes out, but to my eye, that is lovely. Yeah, lovely. But I won't hold it too long, because yeah, if I put it on here, I'll put it on that bit where it will probably get the highest reading. Or will it get probably that one? I'll tell you what the reading says in a moment, but yeah, some of these samples are surprisingly hot for what they are. So I'll just leave it there for a second. Yeah, there's so many things, Richard, that are stupid about this. It's like we were saying, the thing where you can't handle a firearm on a live stream, but you can on a regular video. Well, if they're both videos that go on YouTube and fall under the same advertising and everything else, that doesn't make sense. And one of the reasons that was kind of proposed is it will stop mass shootings. The thing is, if somebody, let's be honest, is a loser who is going to do a suicidal, like, you know, murder spree because they fucking failed at life, you know, that's generally what mass shooters are, you know, complete losers. I really doubt they're going to care down the line after they're dead if they get a YouTube, you know, strike on their account for handling a firearm. I think it might be more. Bear in mind that one is shielded as well. It's at 13 at the moment, if that's visible on there. Hang on. That should get a bit higher. Yeah, 13 at the moment. Tell you what I'll do. I'll put it back in its case in a minute, but because this blocks a fair bit of the beta there, let me just pop that there. I'll, as I said, clean it up afterwards, so I don't really want to touch it with my hands just because I'll have to wash them. But that's 12.91 at the moment. Yeah, there we go. I'll just gently poke it onto the bit where the tube is. There we go. I'll tell you what, 14.29 at the moment. But yeah. With that one, the mini monitor, it gets to nearly 2,000 counts per second, but that's mostly because obviously that's picking up the alpha as well. And I'm pretty sure Autonite gives off quite a lot of alpha, beta, and gamma because obviously it's uranium based. Yeah, I'd completely agree, F4 Phantom. The problem is so much of this shit nowadays, isn't it, is where nobody wants to take responsibility for everything. So it's always blame somebody else for, you know, everything. Let me have a look at what the reading now is. 32 at the moment. Just seeing if I can get that to show on camera. Yeah, 31.88 at the moment. So yeah, some of these can be surprisingly high. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Richard. He said he's not going to be streaming for a couple of days or whatever because he wanted a week off, and he's been, you know, out celebrating with people and that. But yeah, I think he's all right and everything, Rich. It's just, I think, you know, at the moment he's been celebrating a lot, been busy with family, you know, and wanted a bit of time off YouTube, but he's all right from what I've gathered from messages. Bulgarian PG1, it's all right. It's not great, it's not terrible. The thing I do like about the PG1 is, unlike a lot of M65 style masks, it actually fits my face and makes an airtight seal. So it's actually better than the German mask in that regard, even though in a lot of ways it looks cheaper. .26 microsieverts. Let me just, I know I'm touching it with my hand, I just want to try putting it at a different angle and see if any of it's hotter or colder than other bits. 26.52. I'll see if it starts going up. 26.81. But no, I've never tried pink gin. Most gins I've tried, Peach, I've never been a massive fan of. It's not I wouldn't drink it, I just wouldn't really choose to buy it. This is like 34%. Actually, I can check the bloody bottle, it's right here. It says 34%, 35% spiced rum. It's the Aldi cheap one, but actually tastes all right. Like a lot of the stuff in Aldi, it's actually fairly good. Did this one win any awards? Because weirdly, some of the Aldi stuff actually has won awards, despite the fact it's... But I like this a lot more than the Captain Morgan's one. And because it's like 35%, you can drink it straight pretty easily. Because it doesn't anesthetize, or whatever the word is, your throat as much as the stronger ones. I haven't played Payday 2 in yonks, F4 Phantom. The only game at the moment I'd probably stream is... I've started a new game in New Vegas again, because I love New Vegas. But YouTube got funny when I streamed New Vegas a while ago. Like they are actually restricting some of the videos. What was in the Polish MP5? I'm sure I can do some more videos on it at some point, Game Hunter. Yeah, I would recommend this. There's a couple of things I think I've mentioned with this I don't quite like, but for the most part, it's very good. Obviously, you can do beta and gamma and X-rays. If you wanted to, you could probably modify the case here to let through more beta radiation. It has a dosimeter function on it, so you can see that number there at the bottom. Let me just flip this over to another angle. Again, I know I've touched it with my hand, but it's getting to the stage where, you know, I don't care, I'll just be careful. So if you look at this, the top number is the current dose you're receiving, where it says 25 microsieverts at the moment per hour. The bottom dose is your accumulative dose since last time you've turned it on. There's 4 functions and 4 modes, so you can have various alarm functions on or off if you want them on or off. It takes one, whatever type of battery it is. Hang on. I'll tell you what, I'll just put this back in its case now, just for safety reasons, and I need to wash my hands after the stream, but that's on every stream now, we say wash your hands. So yeah, let me put that Automate Mac. So yeah, it takes one, is it 14500 battery? I'm trying to remember the name of the ones that these use. You can charge it in the thing as well. 14500? I can't get it to rotate at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it's a 14500 battery, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, but this is pretty good. The only thing I would say is bad about this, if I'm going to be completely balanced, if you flick it off and on, like that, it loses your accumulative dose. That's not unique to this. Quite a few different Geiger counter / dosimeters do lose the dose if you turn them off, but it's kind of a bit annoying, like the SOX. There isn't, some kind of save function for that, because if you turned it off by accident, you'd completely, forget what your dose is. That's the nice thing with these sort of dosimeters. Until they actually discharge, you'll always know what your dose was with them. Again, it runs into the same problems lots of these run into, which is because it's not really shielded. If exposed to decently high amounts of radiation, the numbers on it start going a bit fucky. And what I mean by that is, like it's screwy, it's inaccurate. But that's to be expected. But for what the price these were, I think where Hype was selling them, it was like $30 was it, or £30 plus a bit of postage. And again, you're not going to find many Geiger counters for that sort of price. Yeah, that's exactly like what I want, because the therapy doesn't save it if you turn it off, but like with the therapy I've got coming as well. But you can't turn the therapy off while it's got batteries in it until the batteries are totally discharged or you take the batteries out. So for the most part, unless you on purposely choose to take the batteries out, you get half a year. You get like 180 to like 365 days worth of ongoing dosimeter function. But yeah, the PLA counter will be ideal for what I kind of want to do some tests with. Let's see with thorium lamp mantles if I can. I should tell you what, I'll use my actual thorium that's extracted. So in there's some thorium. Let me put this on here. And we should see the count go up. The tube on this is about there. I did open it up to have a look and hope that it was about there, and he was right. It's like literally about there above the screen. But yeah, for what it is very good. Again, because you're not going to find many Geiger counters, unfortunately, in that sort of price range. Art's called Justin. Does it work and do you like it? I love the CDV 700, even though, again, they're quite old at this point and pretty prone for little bits breaking that you need to replace. But yeah, I also got this the other day. I've done a video on it, but you won't see the review yet. Let me just put this into aeroplane mode, because for some reason it works a lot better in aeroplane mode, Smart Geiger. So this is a gamma and X-ray only Geiger tube. You need to really keep the phone on a flat surface when you use it. But basically it counts gamma and X-rays in that bit there, in the Geiger tube. And it seems to work fairly well for what it is. I left a 5-star review on Amazon regarding it, just because there's so many 1-star reviews like, oh, I put this next to a thorium lamp mantle and I barely got a reading. It's like, yes, because it says gamma and X-rays only, so beta and alpha emissions aren't going to be registered by it. And it's a pretty small detection area, as you can see, because you've literally got a little Geiger tube like that. If you want to get a PMG, get it. PMGs are pretty cool looking. But yeah, just to prove this works, and although I've put it away, let me tell you what, let me get the thorium. Let me put the thorium there, and then watch the number when it starts getting gamma rays hit the tube. If I put this next to radium, you notice a reading really quickly, but how it works is it basically counts down until it gets a hit, and then it kind of registers an impulse. I'll have to have a look, Richard. I think it really depends on the video at the moment. I've noticed some of my newer videos have got a lot more views in like a day or two of going up. Yeah, anyway, what I'll do is I'll put this here with that next to it. I will pop this down here like that. Tell you what, pop that like that, can't I? There we go. And then I can check the dose on either of those as the stream goes on. But that definitely works. I think I put some pictures on the Discord, but when I put some radium paint next to it and old radium dials, that got up to like 180 on there. To give you some idea of how many times background radiation that is. That was probably like 500 times background or whatever. So that thing definitely works. It's very temperamental to being jolted. The default phone app, I don't think really. It has how many microsieverts in an hour. It has how many counts it's encountered. Counts per minute, but that's about it. History, let's see what history says. Hang on. Oh yeah, it seems to. Hang on. Now, because I'm in aeroplane mode, I don't know if that's blank because of that reason. Let me just take aeroplane mode off and see if it's logged it anywhere. Just let it connect to the Wi-Fi. It'll take a moment. Do I have social media? Not really. I have a Twitter for my YouTube. I never check. I have a Facebook page I never use anymore because it got too much spam on it. The closest to social media I use is the Discord for people who donate to chat with them. All right, let me just go off of that and back on. It might be where you have to click save, I imagine. So let's try that. Save. It says the measured values are stored and complete. Yeah, so you have to save it in the history there. So that's not really a true dosimeter function, but it's not bad for a £30 thing with a free app, I'd say, because it does actually function as a Geiger Muller tube. Also, this definitely doesn't detect beta. I tested it with the strontium 90 and it didn't see a thing on it, so it definitely is gamma and X-rays only. Anyway, I'll put that back on, and I'll put that flush there like I was doing, start that again. This one is currently at about 2 microsieverts. That one. But yeah. I mean, it gives you an average. Gives you an average dose rate for an hour, based on, you know, how many detections it's getting. So over the course of time, it gets more accurate. So, but it's not like real time in a sense, but it's not as bad as where some people like, oh, it only gives you an update every 5 minutes. No, that's if you're measuring background, I imagine, because it's only getting hit by a gamma ray every 5 minutes. But yeah, to prove it works, let me just find a photo, because you can screenshot from the app directly as well, which is quite nice. I know you can screenshot in most apps, but, you know, by holding down the power down button and the volume down button. But what I mean is it just has a direct screenshot button. So if I go on that, it has a folder called Geiger counter. Look, there we go. Let's go through all of these. So that was where I just took a screenshot of background. Here's somewhere I had it next to the radium. But yeah, so you can see from that one, look, 183.9. That's microsieverts an hour. That definitely works, and that's, you know, purely the gamma and X-rays coming off of the radium. Then back to average again. So yeah, it definitely does its job in that regard. Most of the bad reviews for it seem to be probably, sadly, the typical thing of people not really understanding what a Geiger counter is and how it works. Yeah, it's not perfect by any means, but for the £30 they cost, it's not bad, to be honest. Ooh, shit. Oh, I didn't knock my rum over. That was good. I've got a Discord for donators, Justin. So anybody that donates on Patreon or YouTube Super Chat, they get a link to the Discord channel where we just talk about random surplus shit most of the time. All right, Swan Bohemian. I haven't seen you on in a while, but hello. Can be about most things, my name, Dan, as long as it isn't politics. But yeah, I've just been chatting about radiation a lot recently because I find it pretty fascinating. Yeah, 6 days is very good. The SAS one about the Iranian embassy siege. Yeah, I've seen that. With the S6 gas masks and the MP5s. I did basics physics stuff in school, Boyko, and I mean GCSE level physics, not even A-level physics. Found that very boring. Recently, I've just started reading up on it a lot more because I found it more fascinating. And then when I was doing as a joke a load of those like BBC bite-size A-level physics stuff on ionizing radiation, I was getting like 10 out of 10, you know, like A-star kind of performances on the mock test. And I was like, oh, tells you something, doesn't it? That when you're actually interested in the subject, you'll learn it a lot better than if you have a teacher that just prattles on and on and on, you know, read from this textbook. Yeah, I saw your thing on Discord about that, Hike, but yeah, it's sad, isn't it? I mean, I know you get that with anything, but, you know, where somebody just does not understand what the technology is or, like, what the price ranges should be. You know, it's like going back to things like the SOX and this Kajou Geiger counter compared to, like, the Terra P, and then, like, even better models than the Terra P. It's, you kind of get what you pay for, and while there certainly is better products than others, you know, in certain price ranges, you know, you wouldn't buy a cheap hatchback expecting, you know, a sports car or whatever, but some people seem to. And then this product is bad because I didn't make a good, you know, I didn't do my research before buying it. As in flashlights, my name, Dan, I don't actually know. It could have been a balance thing. I don't know. I know they were like the old mag lights, weren't they? Like it was the pre-mag lights, but well, Game Hunter, I've got a very interesting helmet on order at the moment, which will be my favourite helmet when it arrives, which is the modern helmet Britain's using that replaced the Mark 7. The Virtus helmet, or whatever they've called it, which is the one that's made out of that stuff that's, you know, the thermoplastic, like the American ECH, is it? It's technically the same plastic as milk cartons, but it's stronger than Kevlar. But other than that, out of the helmets I've currently got, British Mark 7 I really like. I like US Pascut style helmets. I like a lot of old steel pot helmets as well. But the thing is with these modern helmets is they can literally stop 7.62 NATO rounds. The issue is your neck, I imagine, was still snapped from the impact. But, you know, I'm quite looking forward to having a helmet that comes with all the night vision mounts and everything pre-installed on it. And, you know, I could literally survive being shot with a foul. At least my head would survive it, whether or not my neck would and everything, I don't know. But yeah, exactly, Richard. It's frustrating, isn't it? Because the problem was with that Geiger counter thing, I was umming and ahhing for ages whether or not I should buy one, just simply on the fact that there were so many bad reviews. But then when I read the reviews, I realised it was lots of people that just clearly did not know what a Geiger counter was. Unfortunately, I think I've broken this because I raised the power too much on it, messing about with it. But the CDV 715, I should just be able to replace the capacitor and get this working. Lots of people give these bad reviews just because on these, they don't understand that they're ion chambers, not Geiger counters. So some people complain they don't click. Well, yeah, it's an ion chamber. It's not going to click. You know, it's not a Geiger counter with a GM tube and a piezoelectric output for the speaker. Also, that because these were designed for doomsday levels of radiation, hence why, like, the times 1 on this scale is 0 to 5 Rontgen per hour, up to 100 times, so 0 to 500 Rontgen per hour. You know, scary, scary levels of radiation. People are like, oh, the needle doesn't move in my house, therefore it's broken. No. Also, in the manual, it says when you've got these calibrated, you have to let them warm up for like 10 minutes before using them. You know, and periodically you should run them for like an hour just so the parts, you know, kind of don't seize up. And when you're using these, don't take a reading from the bottom, like 5% or 10%, whatever it is, of the range, you know, like from 0 to 0.2, because that's where you might get a little bit of needle sway anyway, which won't be accurate. And then you get people giving them bad reviews because, oh, mine says 0.1 or 0.2, and the radiation obviously isn't that high in my house, so it doesn't work, it's shit. So you've got this really old piece of kit, you've not calibrated, you've got no proper check sources to use it with, but you're giving it a bad review because you didn't bother reading the manual and following all the instructions, and then understanding there's still a margin for error with old analog displays. You know, and also say it's a bad Geiger counter when it's not a Geiger counter full stop, it's an ionization chamber unit. Because, I mean, as far as ion chamber units go, it didn't commit the sin that one did, of being a super complicated, you know, thing. Can you test if it's working, Jonathan? I would pay $70 for a CDV 715 if I knew it was in working condition. Just bear in mind, a CDV 715 is for doomsday levels of gamma radiation and X-rays. If you want one for measuring low levels of radiation, don't bother. For most people, they are totally useless. If you want one just as a cool kind of military curiosity, or like civil defense curiosity, or if you were worried about Chernobyl levels of radiation, sure, get it. If you're really into electronics, there are also modernization programs where you can convert them from Rontgens to millirontgens, and then they are useful. But most people wouldn't be good enough at the electronics to do that. But the thing is, if I could get another CDV 715 for $70, I'd probably buy one, you know. But the problem is in the UK, you end up paying like $50 postage or shipping on like the 700s, the 715s, any of those. I've got a 720 on order at the moment. Let me tell you how much the postage was on that. It was quite expensive. I think the seller sent it via FedEx at least, so it's not a really slow postage thing. Or I want to bid on something, so I need to do that as soon as the stream ends. Right. It was £100 47 full stop, and it was £68.75 for the CDV 720. So £32 essentially shipping. I think it must have been like $50. I really wanted a CDV 720, so I was willing to pay that. But yeah, it's if you're an American, you can get them for like the actual unit prices. I'd definitely go for it. It's just over here the problem is, as much as you can get them shipped out of America, because for ages I didn't think you could due to ITAR, but they don't fall under that because they're actually civil defense, not military. The issue is just most couriers for, you know, postage across the sea to the UK are like $50. Yeah, Richard, I don't know really much about welding at all, but it's that sort of thing, isn't it, on all these things where you think... I've seen ones as well where people give certain games bad reviews because it's not the genre of game they wanted. Like, I've seen people giving Dark Souls and things like that bad reviews because this is a really hard beat-em-up. I don't think Dark Souls and Demon Souls are a beat-em-up, but, you know, whatever. I mean, I could complain The Sims is a bad RTS game, I guess, but I wouldn't think it would also be true. What? Do you mean the M61 Iron Man? The Finnish M61? That's a lovely mask, especially if you put a 60 to 40mm converter on it. If you got the Spassiani, that's even better. But even if you mean the Finnish M61, yeah, go for it. Brilliant mask. Well, I personally wouldn't buy a Bong mask, Boyko, so there you go. But yeah, so if anybody's interested, what I've currently got coming on eBay: a radium clock, 3 radium aircraft dials, a British Radioactive Mark II, the upgraded model. I guess I don't know if you call it a Mark III. Another bit of Torbanite, a display case, 2 other bits of Torbanite, loads of watch hands, some of which are radium, CDV 750 pens, and a CDV 750 charger, 3 old Soviet aircraft dials, another bit of Torbanite, the Autonite bits of cum, monazite, coffinite, the Virtus helmet, which should come either Monday or Tuesday, but annoyingly they haven't given me a tracking number. The Bereg IRI-1 dosimeter that Hype said looked cool, which I thought looked cool. The dosimeter Hype sending me that I'm then going to buy off of him, but that's not through eBay. And the British Army dosimeter charger, and I just need to pay for the thing I want to bid on because I had a outstanding bid on something and I actually won it. So buy now. No, it's not bad. $27.90 for another bit of Autonite. Sorry, not Autonite, Torbanite. So yeah, the air is glowing. But there we go. I'll go back. Yeah, sounds like a good idea, Peach. Yeah, the thing is, Hype, I tried DCS. I realized, or YouTube's just said my stream connection is unstable. So sorry if this conks out. But yeah, if you can still hear and see me, I played DCS. I realised I didn't have the time to understand all of it properly, but it looked fine for what it was. But I would not, I would not go into a simulator and give it bad reviews because I don't have the patience to learn that simulator at the moment. What do you mean by a 5? If the thing is with regular soft body Kevlar, it literally only goes up to 3A, because to get Kevlar that would be soft body armor and a level 3 rating, it would have to be so stupidly thick. I don't think it's really anybody bothers making it thick. When you say the MP5, do you mean the Heckler and Koch MP5, or do you mean the mask Pole MP5 mask? Rust. No, I haven't played Rust. I've got the Long Dark installed now, because I got that when it was on sale after watching Mike streams. But recently, I'm trying to get through Red Dead Redemption 2. I've played Terminator Resistance once, and I'm replaying that because I really enjoyed that. I got Resident Evil 0 Biohazard, Zero, when it was on sale because Mike was streaming that, and it was like £6 on Steam. But at the moment, what I'm playing through is the Gears of War remaster more than anything, because I really like the original Gears of War. I didn't like any of the sequels because I'm miserable like that. So when I found out that you, on the Microsoft Store, as though that isn't perfect, you could get the Gears of War remake for like £15 or something, I was like, fuck yeah. Because the original Gears of War is brilliant. The soundtrack is fantastic as well. That's what really pissed me off with the sequels, is they basically fired the guy who did the soundtrack to the first one, even though, he kind of did the successful thing of doing the soundtrack to it. And then they just got a very generic Hans Zimmer style guy, to do the sequels. But the Kevin Ripple or Kevin Ripple, however his name's pronounced, original Gears soundtrack, I've actually got that on CD in the style of like Aliens and Predator and a lot of those old kind of 80s sort of sounding soundtracks. Really, really good. He uses a lot of woodwind as well in the soundtrack, which is really nice. Rather than it just being like loads of strings like in most generic soundtracks now. Lots of like bassoon and sort of oboe stuff and clarinet. I really don't know. It might depend as well if it's a stab thing, because different nations have different ratings. Because bear in mind, like the UK rating is different than the US rating, but I tend to, and most other people who I chat with about armor ratings tend to use the US rating because it's a lot simpler. It's a bit like, how with radiation you can get sieverts, Rontgens, and all that. I tend to use Rontgens if I'm coming up with a number myself for something. What I mean is, if I know the number, I'll just tell people what it is in Rontgens, because Rontgens are the easy numbers, as in 1 Rontgen is pretty serious if you're around radiation of that level in its background. 100 Rontgens, you get radiation sickness for most people. 500 Rontgens, most people die. 1,000 Rontgens, everybody's dead. I've got a Stauhelm Clorox, but I don't know which model it is, and it's rusty and falling apart. I wouldn't be in a rush to get a Stauhelm, especially because, sadly, the way the state the UK's in, if I got, like, a classic World War II Stauhelm, and then if ever I got in trouble with the police for anything, I don't know what I would, but, they could literally say, look at that, he's a neo-Nazi, even though I find Nazism to be an abhorrent ideology. The problem is that you kind of don't want to collect a lot of Third Reich militaria in the UK because of how fucking stupid a lot of our rules are. But they've done that to other people, If they get done for whatever thing, you better really hope you don't have a lot of, historical artifacts from certain things, or they'll certainly try and put some sort of hate crime thing onto it as well. New Year's stream, I might be out New Year's Eve into the morning of New Year's Day. I don't know yet. If I'm stuck at home drinking, maybe. But also another problem with a lot of Third Reich militaria and stuff like that is a lot of it is stupidly overpriced. Like, you can buy British, American, Soviet, all that sort of World War II stuff, Italian, Japanese stuff at reasonable prices. As soon as it's something from Nazi Germany, like 10 times the price. And I'm not getting suckered into that, if it's something that was made in similar numbers and there's still a similar amount of it on the surplus market, you should not expect to pay 10 times the price because it was from, an evil ideology that lost the war. Thank you, I am. But yeah, same to you. But okay, Richard. So thanks for clearing that up. So 5AF is a stab and spike vest, but that's an old British rating used in the 90s. So yeah, it sounds like it's the radiation thing. Different countries use different measurements, just like you could measure, temperature in Celsius, Kelvin, Fahrenheit. Numbers can sometimes equate with each other, but the problem is, like a level 5 on one rating doesn't mean it's a level 5 on another rating. It's that kind of problem. You'd have to know which rating it is. What, Hugo Boss style branding, Ghost Jesus? Speaking of that, buy my merch. It wasn't designed by Hugo Boss and it has no affiliation with Nazism, but before I plug my merch there. But yeah. But that's the kind of thing, especially what's funny is if you see stuff like German World War II firearms, for say, or whether they're de-axle, working ones, then you see Yugoslav ones or other countries that, produce the exact same series of things as Germany. Like, you can literally get a Yugoslav-built version of the MG42, and it's like a quarter of the price of the German MG42, because it's Yugoslav, not German. It's like, that's a no-brainer which one you'd get, but... As in American rifle bids as in for the US Army or, like, US military kind of new rifle. I've heard there's one that's really popular with troops. I've not really read any articles on it. Is this for, like, replacing the M16? Is it a different caliber? Because if they're still keeping 5.56 by 45, it seems a bit strange they'd replace the M16. I know, modernization is always good, but does the M16 really need replacing? They're on like the A4 variant already, aren't they? I mean, it would probably. Do I have another channel? Not that I do any videos on that I actually update. If you want to see videos, subscribe to this channel, watch this channel. The other channels I've done was like a gaming channel I got fed up of doing videos on. The only channel you might find interesting I did, if you look it up, is one called Mr. Ronald, I think is the name of it. It was a horror parody channel. I did a couple of videos on it, but they didn't really get any views, so I never carried on. You'll either find the videos really funny or creepy, or just think, what is this shit? But it's worth checking out if you've not seen any of them. I think Cup of Tea was my favourite one. No, the only Hanway Tinker I've got is that one behind me. That might be called the Early Medieval Sword. Oh, it's not a rifle, so I can pick it up. Hang on. Although it's behind the bed, so it might be a bit difficult. There we go. Was this one the Early Medieval one? I can't remember. It's basically an arming sword rather than a... I'd call it an arming sword anyway, but that's this one. It's all right for what it is. Especially when I got it, it was like 130 quid, and it's very good steel for that sort of price. But the grip on it was shit. But underneath, there's actually quite a good wound grip. So when the original grip came off, I just peeled all of it off, and then you can grip it absolutely fine via this stuff. But yeah, it's but that's a Hanway / Tinker Pierce one. Can't remember if that's the Early Medieval sword, because it's basically, as I said, an arming sword. I refer to it, on the name of the class of sword, not what they called it. But the thing is, the M16 doesn't gem a lot. That was kind of how it got slagged off in Vietnam, but that was because they issued them with really shit powder and the original 5.56, like ball ammunition or whatever it was. And the troops weren't issued cleaning kits, and they were told the gun cleaned itself. And that was probably in a bid because certain people in the army kind of the equipment division were upset the M14 was getting replaced. So they basically wanted to sabotage the M16 project at the cost of American soldiers' lives. I don't find that funny as in Americans died. I find that funny as in, when your own country is basically sabotaging your military to that extent because they're upset. It's like when we have this bullshit in Parliament in the UK over Brexit. where you've got politicians literally pissing absolutely everybody off and killing their own parties because, oh, I need to oppose Brexit no matter what. I can't vote, in any way with the government on legislation, which is why there was then the Tory landslide victory recently. It's kind of like that, it's, what do they say, cutting off your nose to spite your face, is that the expression? But, where there are people so happy to literally almost shoot themselves in the foot because how dare you do that? I can't remember if it was MR and then Ronald, like Mr. as in MR space Ronald, or if it was Mr. as MISTER Ronald. But if you search Mr. Ronald or something like that, you should find it. It's got a creepy old man mask as the profile picture. I think the mask's stored in that cupboard somewhere, but it's probably not accessible. Otherwise, I would get it out right now and show you. I wanted to at one point do a crossover video, which I might still make doing night vision. But I need like a friend to help me film that because you can't do it with one person. But it's going to have me like walking in the woods with night vision, a bit like Mike did for his Halloween special. And then rather than it being Zombie, you'd have like Mr. Ronald coming up in like frames of the night vision video. But it wouldn't, the video wouldn't be titled anything to do with it. And then you'd probably have him getting closer and closer to the camera in frames. I still want to do that as a video, kind of just as a silly side video. Especially because I'd like to get out and film more night vision stuff. But it's, again, getting somebody to help you film it where they can be asked to go out on a night out when the weather might be a bit shit in the woods and do something like that. How does telescopic ammo work then, my name, Dad? I've never really read into it. Oh, that's interesting. So free F is better than free A? Or is that just better than early free A, Rich? Because I know with like free A, if a vest meets free A, that's like a minimum standard, isn't it? But some of them could be up better protection than free A, but they wouldn't be good enough to fall into the next ranking. It'd be like if you had, where they put energy charts on like certain, electronics, where it has to, it can fall between something and it could be closer to the next tier up than the tier it's actually marked as. Probably that sort of thing, I imagine. The problem is AKMs and AK-47s still need to be cleaned. They won't work if you completely abuse them. I mean, the AK, it's just because the AK has really loose tolerances that it doesn't need to. It's kind of one of those fallacies where people are like, the AK never jams. It's like, in some ways, Armalite AR platforms are better. In other ways, AK platforms are better. Personally, if I had to have one and not the other, I'd rather have an AK because I'm great at breaking things. So I'd like something that the Russians designed because, it's more idiot-proof, and I'd need something idiot-proof. But like a lot of the bad rep ARs get, and like the M16 platform is basically just bullshit. Where armchair, generals talk about like, oh, the US would have won the Vietnam War if they didn't have the M16. It's like, yeah, so it's also the thing, like what I liked, and I can't show you on the stream, unfortunately, because of YouTube's new rules, but can you hear that? It's probably too quiet. What that is on my SLR, although it's DIAC, what the SLR did is they actually had a gas selector that you could just literally thumb with your thumb, with your hand, you could just dial it up or down. And it was designed so, depending on the environment, you could increase or decrease the recoil and like the gas blowback, which literally fixes that exact issue. Because if your gun was clean and you were somewhere where there wasn't a lot of mud or whatever around, you could have the recoil set quite low. Or if you're firing a rifle grenade, I think you set it to 0. And if you were, like completely fouling the gun up, you could set it to like the highest value and it would nearly break your shoulder, but it would always cycle. All right, Demi. So to be honest, that's a great system. But then you see people even complain about the foul system, saying, "Oh, soldiers are too stupid to be able to pick a number value based on the environment they're in. They need one that's preset for them." Well, there's no winning then, is there? Because you'll either complain one type doesn't have enough force behind it, one has too much force, therefore causing too much recoil, or you can't let the person who's operating the gun pick the recoil because they'll screw it up. I don't know what you're spamming there, Davey, but I don't really like it. Sounds like you're trying to give out details of somebody there. Right, you're gone. Don't ever do that on the stream. The 416, was that the HK one? I don't really know much about it at all, other than it was, you know, at one point everybody wanted to adopt it or something, or even Britain was going on about adopting it. But yeah, the thing is with like Free A though, Richard, as well, is like if you watch helmet tests where people have done like, you know, helmet tests with Free A helmets, there's quite a lot of variation even in that based on like, you know, the shape of them, you know, how thick they are. So like the British Mark 7 helmet does really well for Free A helmet in tests. But it's still not going to stop any sort of rifle round, other than like things like 22 long rifle. But, you know, like the Mark 7 can stop Tokarev round fine, whereas some Free A helmets actually can't. So I think there's quite a lot of variation even in like Free A's and stuff like that. I've already got one, Jonathan. It's not like, well, when you say suit jacket, do you mean like as in a classy suit? I wouldn't have much need for it, but I guess it would be cool. But if you just mean body armor in general, I've got quite a few full-size body armor bits. Some of them you can see behind me. The best one I've got at the moment, though, is probably that old Polish armor B-Store sent me. The one that has the massive steel plates in the front and back. And when we shot them with Mike's crossbows when I last went around his house, it actually created sparks from the crossbow bolts just disintegrating and bending, basically, as they hit the metal plate. Anyway, I'll be going off soon. I've been on over an hour. But yeah, if Hype wants to post the links to these, for anybody interested in them, he's got an eBay link where he was selling these. Yeah, they're pretty good for what they are. And I said, I don't have a problem with the Smart Geiger either. That's pretty good for what it is. I'll put that thorium away now before I, you know, cause myself any damage with it. But, yeah, and I will let you know, Hype, as soon as the Chinese sort of military Geiger counter dosimeter thing comes. I always forget the name of it. And then I'll probably get you to remind me of your PayPal again then, although I can scroll up on the messages, I'm sure, and find it that way and sort you out a payment on that. And then, yeah, after that, I really need to stop spending on things for YouTube for a while because I bought loads of expensive Geiger counters and dosimeters recently, and check sources and things like that. And in a month or two, I'm hopefully moving out, potentially. So obviously I need to make sure I can afford the rent for that. But at the moment, because, you know, I'm just relying on the other person I'm going to be rent sharing with, getting a new job lined up, you know, we'll have to see. But anyway. Yeah, 30-06 is even more powerful, Ghost Jesus, than 7.62 by 51mm, isn't it? 7.62 NATO, it's like more powerful than that. So like Garand's and that, you know, have more power than the FAL, which is kind of crazy to think. But yeah, anyway, thanks everybody. See you. Thanks. Hope everybody's enjoyed the stream. But yeah, and I'll probably be streaming a few days during the week, but at the moment I don't know exactly what times, what days, because I don't know on Sundays if I'm going to be out at certain times or in. You know, it depends on other people. So yeah, there'll be videos Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I was just to say now, I won't be doing many videos on Saturdays at the moment, because they were quite popular for a while, but it meant I've fallen behind a bit doing, you know, my regular videos during the week as well as working weekends. So most videos at the moment are just going to be Wednesday, Friday, Sundays, unless there's a very short little video I upload every now and then. But yeah, anyway, thanks everybody. See ya.